Thursday evening, everybody. Welcome into the Porch, a Volquest.com baseball podcast presented by the great people over at Spivey, King and Spivey, LLP. If you got a problem, let them find a solution for you. That's TN Trial Lawyers. Give them a phone call today. If you have a need, you can get a free consultation by dialing 423-245-4185. You can visit them online at SpiveyKingandSpiveyLLP.com as well. Great people, Tennessee fans like you and I. Spivey, King and Spivey, LLP. If you got a problem, let them find a solution for you. That is TN Trial Lawyers. All right. As you can hear my phone buzzing, I am recording this on a Thursday afternoon. It is busy for reasons that I wish that weren't. But that's on the football side, and of course we'll see how all that plays out. Let's talk baseball. Another big time showdown coming up for the Tennessee Volunteers. The number 5 ranked Tennessee Volunteers. Sorry guys, force of habit. Going to number 6 Ole Miss, a Ole Miss club that's won the 2022 national championship. If you remember, they were the last team picked in the field, and they went on a run and won it. And since then, they've fallen on hard times. However, not this year. 26-7 is the overall record, and an 8-4 record inside SEC play. Last week, they took 2 of 3 in Lexington against Kentucky. Before that, the weekend prior, they were at home against Florida, where they took 2 of 3. And, sorry, I was reading another message. I promise, I'm focused. I am focused in on what's going on here. But Ole Miss, pretty good ball club. Oh, really, really good ball club. So, quickly, I'm going to kind of get into the nuts and bolts of what makes Ole Miss, really, really good so far this year. What Tennessee needs to do. Coming up here in a matter of moments, I'm going to have Zander Sechrist joining the show. I say matter of moments, more about 10, 15 minutes. Always catch up with Zander due to his schedule, and of course he's pitching for the Single A Fort Myers Muscles, I believe is the team name for him. But nonetheless, he's going to join the show coming up in about 15 minutes, and we met on Monday afternoon, so he references midweek a couple of times, but really just talking about what happened and transpired with the Texas A&M series loss, and kind of getting his thoughts and how they move on from there and all that type of stuff. I mean, Zander's obviously a guy that has been in that position before, and certainly the season is not over. And quickly, I'll just kind of mention this on the A&M series, and we talked about it on the 3-2-1 and stuff. I feel like I did a pretty good job of trying to insinuate and trying to remind and trying to at least based off stats and everything inform a little bit. I mean, A&M is a pretty good ball club, right? I mean, it's a team that came within 2 runs of a national championship a season ago, and sure, they've lost some guys. Gavin Grahovac's one who's out with injury right now, phenomenal player. But for the most part, that team has kind of stayed together. And, when you're that talented, you're not going to be down for long. And it's unfortunate that in one day, they just broke through in a massive way against Tennessee. And I'm going to rattle off this stat, and then I'll be done with it, because it's an impressive stat if you're A&M. It's a horrifying stat if you're a Tennessee fan. But, in 30 games this year, Tennessee allowed 17 home runs. And then you went to Saturday, a night after, no hitting the same ball club, 7 innings, sure, but no hitting with Liam Doyle and, of course, Dylan Loy. And then Tennessee gives up 11 home runs in 18 innings in 2 games. Marcus Phillips, in 35 innings entering his start on Saturday, he had given up 2 home runs. 35 2/3 innings, I believe he had given up 2 home runs. Then he gave up 3 and 4 and 2. So it was just not Tennessee's day. Sometimes you can chalk it up to baseball. I recognize that. It's how you respond is really the telltale sign. And I thought Tennessee did a good job responding on Tuesday night. Like Tony Vitello said after the game, kind of once you got that first run, it was kind of like, okay, well, let's take a deep breath, play some baseball now. How are you going to respond on the road? Hostile environment, really, really good ball club. Big time test coming up this weekend, so looking forward to seeing all that. But A&M's a good club, and we'll see where they go from here. You hate that they had that day against the Vols last week, but pretty good ball club still. A lot of talent. So at the end of the day, that shouldn't surprise you an awful lot that you lost a series to a team like Texas A&M. It was just kind of the way you lost it. So anyway, going on to Oxford and Ole Miss, pitching-wise, not fantastic, okay? So you've got their ace on the mound. It'll be a lefty-lefty matchup with Liam Doyle on a Friday night. I assume it's Liam Doyle. I'm recording this before the injury report comes out on a Thursday night. That comes out around 8:15 Eastern or whatever. But Tony Vitello said he was fine on Tuesday. Liam Doyle said he was fine after the game. So it's going to be a lefty-on-lefty matchup. Pretty good one as well. Hunter Elliott is the ace for the Rebels, 5-0, 3.63 ERA. He's about the only starting pitcher that's has been pretty good this year. The pitching's not been fantastic for Ole Miss so far this year. Ranking 11th in the SEC with a 4.55 ERA, 8th in walks allowed, 124 on the year, 14th in doubles allowed, they've allowed 14, 12th in home runs allowed, they've allowed 35. They've given up the second most hit batsmen, 49, and they're 13th in opposing batting average, which means only 3 teams in the Southeastern Conference have an opposing batting average that's higher than 249. So the pitching hasn't been very good, but Hunter Elliott has been really, really good. 5-0 record, 3.63 ERA, 39 innings and 2/3, 8 starts, 51 strikeouts, only walked 17. Opponents hitting 212 against him. Last week in Lexington, roughed up a bit. 4 runs on 3 hits and 5 innings of work. 16 innings. His first 16 innings and 3 starts to begin the year, he didn't allow a run. So he started really, really hot, and he's still pretty good. Got touched a little bit last week against Kentucky, but overall in the season, Hunter Elliott, the lefty that will pitch on Friday night, is pretty solid. And now that I think about this, we got the pitching totals earlier on Thursday, the pitching rotation for the weekend. So, yes, Liam Doyle will make that start. And I'm kind of talking it out here, guys. Talking it out here. Again, busy day. Phones are buzzing like galore over there. Number 2 starter, Riley Maddox, all over the map so far this year. Okay, 6.10 ERA. 6.10 ERA, 3-2 is the record. He allowed 6 runs in his first start against Texas. That was in the Shriners Children's College Showdown in Arlington. Followed that up with allowing a combined 4 runs over his next 4 starts. His past 8 innings and 2/3 that spanned 3 starts, so his last 3 starts, 8 innings and 2/3, he's given up 11 runs off 11 hits. So he has been tagged a lot lately. On the season, he owns a 3-2 win-loss record, but that ERA is inflated at 6.10, 31 innings, 31 strikeouts, 15 walks. Look at this. Opponents are hitting 280 against Riley Maddox, a righty in the box. So Hunter Elliott's going to be a challenge on the mound Friday night, starting things off. Tennessee better jump on Riley Maddox early on in that game on Saturday. And really the same for Mason Nichols. 2-0, 4.83 ERA. Certainly not, the ERA is not as bad as Riley Maddox. But Nichols, opportunity there for Tennessee, I would say. He's been dinged with the home run ball 5 times so far this year. That's tied for the team lead. 2-0 is the record, 4.83 ERA, 31 innings and 2/3, 39 strikeouts, 8 walks. That's a good ratio. Opponents hitting 256 against him, which isn't horrible, but I wouldn't consider that good. And here's something of note. The number 3 starter, the guy that Tennessee's going to face on Sunday, Mason Nichols, he's never worked past the 5th inning in any of his 8 starts. So again, I know that's it's kind of early in the season, or at least it was, but that's kind of noteworthy as well. Not a guy that's going to really go for a long time. 7 different players have logged 8 saves on the year for Ole Miss. Ryan Rodriguez, 0-0 is the record, 1.93 ERA. Braden Jones, he's a righty, 1-1 record and a 8.38 ERA. Whew. Those 2 guys have logged a team high 12 appearances. So you got really good in Ryan Rodriguez and really bad in Braden Jones with an 8.38 ERA. 12 appearances for those guys. Lefty Walker Hooks, he's also had 11 appearances. 1-0 is the record, 2.25, so a pretty good reliever there. Righty Landon Waters, 2-0, a 7.15 ERA. He's made 10 appearances. So hit or miss in the bullpen so far, right? You've got an inflated ERA, a good ERA, inflated ERA, a good ERA. Other guys, Connor Spencer has actually been the most efficient reliever so far. 0-1's the record, 0.73 ERA. He's pitched 12 innings and a third. Doesn't pitch a lot, but he's made 9 appearances. Righty's Alex Canny, 1-0 record, 1.50 ERA. Will McCousland, 2-0's the record, 6.23 ERA. Mason Morris, 3-1's the record, 2.81 ERA, not bad. And lefty Gunnar Dennis, 2-1's the record, 3.94 ERA. Are some other often used bullpen arms. So that's the arms for Ole Miss, and I would not consider that a strength. There's some pieces there, Hunter Elliott being one, the Friday night starter, and obviously a couple of these bullpen arms. But overall, up and down the board, this is not a very talented or deep pitching staff, based on the numbers. Again, 11th in the SEC with a 4.55 ERA, 8th in walks allowed, 14th in doubles allowed, 12th in home runs allowed. These are all out of 16. Second most hit batsman, and 13th in opposing batting average. So not any much of the stat lines that you really want. Now, the offense has been pretty good. Top half of not middle of the pack, but kind of right in front of that, if you will. Ole Miss ranked 6th in the conference with a 302 batting average, 5th in slugging percentage, 5th in on-base percentage, 5th in runs scored, 5th in RBI. They are 4th in home runs hit with 67. They've tallied the second most walks with 217, but the third most strikeouts of the league with 282 as a team. So here's what that tells me. Tennessee's pitching staff, those pitch counts are going to run up, especially for a guy like Doyle who strikes out a ton of guys. His pitch counts is always, kind of routinely high. A team that strikes out a lot, like Ole Miss, and walks a lot, those pitch counts are going to work deep into counts. And so Tennessee's going to have a lot of arms be ready to roll and some good outings, hopefully. The offense is led by Luke Hill. He's top 10 in the league in batting average, 369 clip at the plate. Team high 43 runs scored. He swiped 8 of 12 stolen bags, 6 home runs, 26 RBI. Again, he hits a leadoff. That is Luke Hill. Pretty daggone good player. Second baseman, Jad Utermark. He's got some. I have a little typo here. Provides the power. There we go, real time. You gotta love it. He provides some power in the heart of the order, leading the team with 11 homers, 35 RBI. Actually, 35 RBI second on the team, but 11 homers leads the team. He's a second baseman. He hits 317, and he hits 5th in the order. So that's a pretty good, talented bat in the order there. Isaac Humphrey hits 316. Right fielder, he's center fielder. Right fielder Mitchell Sanford hits 313. Both of those guys have 9 home runs. Humphrey, the center fielder, has driven in a team-high 37 runs, while Sanford, the right fielder, has stolen 10 bags. Will Furness is also hitting over 300 on the year, so Ole Miss has 5 players who tally bats that qualify, of course, that tally over a 300 batting average. Left fielder Ryan Moorman, he bats 6th in the order. He's belted 9 home runs, 36 ribbies. Catcher Austin Foley, he's got the bottom third of the order with some pop there. 6 homers, 22 runs driven in on 75 at-bats this season. So just looking at the paper, and again, I'm not going to act like I've watched every Ole Miss game. You know why I haven't? Well, I've been covering Tennessee games. It feels like the lineup is very balanced. Like there's pop in the bottom, there's average in the bottom, there's power in the middle, there's speed at the top, a little bit of speed at the bottom. A very balanced lineup for Ole Miss. And so that'll be a challenge. That'll be a challenge for sure. And I'm intrigued to see how Tennessee handles said challenge. So Ole Miss is going to be a battle. It's going to be tough. It's going to be a raucous environment. Number 5 Tennessee on the road at number 6 Ole Miss. So get your popcorn ready. Should be a good one. Speaking of popcorn and television, it'll be streamed on Friday and Saturday at 3 o'clock Eastern. On Sunday, it'll be on the SEC Network. So that is the weekend slate for the University of Tennessee. Put a couple of different stories out there on Tuesday nights. Liam Doyle is going to be good to go. Obviously, he's already slated to pitch. Tony Vitello said that Gavin Keelan he's kind of where he was heading into the South Carolina week before suffering a setback last week. They were hoping to have him DH one of those games against Justin Lampkin of Texas A&M. I believe that was the Saturday game 1, maybe Saturday game 2, but he suffered a setback, but they feel he's kind of where he was against South Carolina, so I wouldn't rule out maybe a DH start, maybe just one for Gavin Keelan this weekend. I don't think he's going to play the field, but a DH start. So be on the lookout for that, and of course pinch hit opportunities. And again, we'll check the availability report. I would assume he'll be a game time decision on Thursday's availability report. So there's that, and AJ Russell, looked good on Tuesday. 2 innings. He got hit hard there, that final out of the second inning, I believe. But overall, 2 innings, couple of strikeouts, no walks. He's let's see here. He pitched 1 inning, 4 innings. He's allowed 2 base runners on the year. So he's looked really good. He's looking like he's continuing to progress. Went back down to the bullpen, threw some more. So we'll see. I thought, and we'll continue to monitor this. I mean, it's nothing set in stone, right? As the season goes along, everything evolves and things can change based off player performances. I just kind of assumed that AJ would slide in there on a Sunday as a Sunday starter eventually. and he's still going to be a starter, okay, at some point, right? Especially postseason play. But, say Tegan Kuntz goes out there and balls out, responds well, and has a great outing. And Tony Vitello mentioned on Tuesday he wants to bring him in or have him pitch from the stretch with runners on base. And so he hasn't gotten that in his opens on Tuesdays here lately. So, would it make sense for AJ to maybe come out of the bullpen at some point when he's back pitching on weekends? I don't know, but here's what you need to know. AJ Russell is going to impact this team in a massive way. He's going to pitch a ton as the year goes along. He's got to build. But, I wouldn't rule out maybe the Kentucky series next weekend to where in some capacity that he makes an impact on the weekends. I'm not saying that's going to happen. Don't mishear me here. Don't Roger Clemens misremember me here. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I could see the Kentucky series at home, him getting back into the flow of things on weekend. Now, is that a Game 3 open? Is that coming in as a bridge guy after Kuntz to hand him to Krenzel? I don't know right now. We'll see. But I think a lot of things are on the table right now. What I do know is AJ Russell feels good. He said after his start last week that he felt great the rest of the week. He's itching. Nobody wants to pitch more than AJ Russell, and he's just going to add to this this pitching staff that's already pretty talented. So a lot of good stuff here. A lot of good stuff, and we'll continue to monitor these situations. But really excited to see what Tennessee looks like down in Oxford against Ole Miss this weekend. I'm on baby watch. Baby's coming literally less than 2 weeks is the date, so you guys know it. If any of you guys or gals listening right now have kids, it could come literally any moment right now. So I'm on baby watch. I'll be covering this remotely from Knoxville. Whenever baby does come, I'll miss a few games. So Grant Ramey, yes, I know, rejoice. Everybody celebrate. Grant Ramey is going to fill in for me, so looking forward to that, and I appreciate him. Okay, I think that's kind of it I have right now. Kind of lots going on. We typically, whenever I talk to Zander, we talk for almost 30 minutes, so we kind of go through a lot of these things. Remember, I talked to him on Monday, so this was earlier in the week, but still a really good conversation. Oh, yeah, I got a feature story on Ariel Antigua coming out tomorrow. Should be coming out tomorrow. A lot of good quotes from him, from Ross Kivett. Got one from Tony, so I think it's a pretty good story. I hope you enjoy it. I think you will. He's obviously made a huge impact for Tennessee, and I do think when Gavin Keelan's back playing defense, I'm not moving Ariel. I'm just not. All right, so let's get into my conversation with Zander Sechrist. That is coming up next right here on the porch. But first, let me remind you guys about my friends over at Spivey King and Spivey LLP. You got a problem, let them find a solution for you. TN Trial Lawyers. They specialize in criminal defense, family law, personal injuries, examples of which can be DUIs, assault, divorce, custody, alimony, personal injuries such as car wrecks, accidents. Over 80 years of combined experience, Spivey King and Spivey LLP provides representation throughout state and federal courts in Northeast Tennessee. The firm has a vast amount of trial experience. Practice has been in place for 43 years with this specific partnership since 2012. Also have partners who were energized for today's modern legal demands. They practice primarily in Northeast Tennessee at the Tri-Cities of Sullivan County, as well as Hawkins County, Washington County, and surrounding areas. Great place up there in the Tri-Cities. The firm has won multiple awards and have attorneys who have been rated by super lawyers with Mid-South real trial experience. Whether you have been injured in a car accident, need help with a divorce, help with custody of your children, or have been accused of a crime, Spivey King and Spivey is here to help you. Go see him in person at 142 Cherokee Street, Kingsport, Tennessee. Shout out old K-Mets. 423-245-4185. That phone number for a free consultation, 423-245-4185. Or visit them online at SpiveyKingandSpiveyLLP.com. Spivey King and Spivey LLP. If you got a problem, they'll find a solution for you. TN Trial Lawyers. All right, joining me here on the porch is the star pitcher on the mound for the Mighty Muscles down there in Fort Myers, Zander Sechrist. You got your assignment. You're with the Single A Club for, of course, the Minnesota Twins. What's been going on with you lately since the end of spring training?
Nothing much. Just throwing a couple bullpens and haven't gotten in yet. We just had our first road trip this weekend, only a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Normally it goes Tuesday to Sunday, but that starts this week, and we played 2 home series back-to-back, which is huge. But, yeah, so we unfortunately lost twice yesterday to a walk-off homer, and Friday was just, the team was a little bit better. But Saturday we did win, so, it's a series loss, but it's pro ball, so it's a little bit different. We have 120 of these things rather than college baseball where you have at least half less.
Yeah, no doubt. Also, just the disrespect, man. I mean, like I went trying to see your profile, trying to check it out. I mean, you got no headshot here. You got the generic baseball background, like the header. No information, no picture of you with your hat on the ground. I mean, what's a guy got to do to get a profile around here?
I don't even know. Yeah. I mean, but I do have. I think I do have. If you click stats, I think I have a minor league spring training appearance. If you go to, I think it's yeah. You go to spring training during that. So go back to the regular season and then you click spring training. I think.
It just says postseason.
Really?
It
Okay.
just says
Well,
postseason. Yeah.
that's weird. But I
I don't
did
know,
see it
man.
in there, so I saw it with my own two eyes. So
Zander Sechrist does not have any minor league stats, but here's the deal: you 100% do have some stuff on there because I had the MLB at bat app and I went down there and I saw you got the win for the big league club in one of the spring training games. So it is true. It is.
it is true.
You're kind of doing long reliefs and bullpen work here at the beginning, but I mean it's a business, man. There's going to be tons of movements, throughout the season. I would assume you're going to start probably a handful of games at some point, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it looks like that at some point. I just don't know when. Obviously, I don't have a plan in front of me. All I know is that they've told me earlier on, and like you said, there's going to be a lot of moves, whether up or down within the organization. I mean, we've already made multiple moves. The big league club has already made multiple moves up and down between AAA and the big league club. So it'll trickle down eventually.
Man, I remember when I did play by play for the K Mets a couple years ago, who's now the Kingsport Axemen, back when they were affiliated with the Mets, and the Kingsport team when I was there was never very good, but the Brooklyn team that was like high A or whatever, low A, or actually back then it was rookie advance. I mean, they axed all these teams a couple years ago. But anyway, like they were in the playoffs, and so they poached all of Kingsport's good players there towards the end. That was always so frustrating. So I'm sure you'll get to, be a front row recipient to see how all that stuff works in terms of pennant races and all that type of stuff. But
Yeah, hopefully in a good way though, not in a bad way. Hopefully in a good way.
in a good way for sure. All right, man. So Tennessee baseball, kind of, some highs and some lows this past weekend. Again, it's baseball. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Losing a series to a team like A&M, it looks worse on paper. But I mean, again, we sit here and think about it. They took you guys to the absolute brink, 2 runs shy of a natty last year, game 3 of the College World Series, kept the team together, okay, rallied around their new coach, unanimous preseason number 1 team in the country, and then they fell flat. I mean, like it was 1-8 in SEC play entering the weekend. Like that's hard to explain, but seeing them hit the baseball, seeing them find ways to win like they did this past weekend, that's not surprising because again, that team's still loaded with talent. Having said that, little disappointing there from Tennessee, but sometimes that's just the game of baseball.
Yeah, I can agree, and I think it was a heightened sense, and like you said, majority of the Texas A&M team was put back together. So you have a lot of guys who still have that sour taste in their mouth from the national championship, and obviously not the start that they've wanted, but they can turn it around at any point. And I think you're starting to see that at least from the Texas A&M's standpoint. And yeah, it's just a bunch of guys that really probably circled this series early on and probably overlooked some other opponents in the SEC earlier on. And that's why they're 1-8. But I think it's more pressure because a lot of people talk about, back-to-backs really hard to do. No one's haven't done it in a very, very long time since South Carolina, I believe, in 10 and 11, probably. We haven't really had any. Yeah, we haven't had any back-to-back champions in a while. Vandy and Virginia went back-to-back years, both of them, but they split in 14 and 15.
South Carolina 2010, 2011, LSU 96, 97, Oregon State 06, 07. I remember that. But so yeah. South Carolina 2010, 2011 is the last one.
Yeah, so it's been a while, but I think a lot of people yes, they were the unanimous team coming into this year, which I think if you just ask up and down in a coach's poll, they probably say the same thing. And I think it's more pressure for a team that loses in the national championship than a team that wins, just by a slight, because obviously if you win a national championship, you have that, defend it, but not everybody's going to expect to or yeah, expect you to win it like again because of how rare that is, but it's more pressure for the team that came runner up to get back there because it's a long journey to get there, and it looks even longer when, especially if you lose the national championship. I can only expect that it's even a longer journey to get there. So they definitely had that series circled, and you saw it. I mean, maybe not on Friday night, but definitely Saturday they hit mistakes, and they definitely did a lot of damage with it. 11 home runs in 2 games, 29-6 outscored. It came up on ESPN, unfortunately. It was a notification. So, yeah, the baseball world knows it, and a lot of people do know it. But, yeah, Texas A&M is for real. The record is one thing, and I think we were talking about it earlier. Like paper's one thing as well. Like, that team is still very talented, top to bottom, and Tennessee's obviously still talented as well, but it's just a lot more new guys that didn't have the sense of like a rematch kind of vibe since they're new to the program. But since all the Texas A&M players, most of them were there, whether they played or not, they definitely circled this, and that's why I think they had more of an emotional rematch than Tennessee had.
Let's start with the good. Friday night, I mean, it couldn't get much better, right? You win 10-0, you run roll them, you score 4 or 5 in the bottom of the 8th or the 6th, whatever it was, I don't know. But not only that, I mean, we're tracking it. You're sitting up there in the press box, and it's like, okay, like in my mind, you don't say it out loud because you're not crazy. But you're sitting here like, okay, he's not giving up a hit. How many creative ways can I say he's not giving up a hit without saying he hadn't given up a hit? So I'm just sitting here typing. And then you're going, and he's laboring through the 6th. He got a blister that popped up. I want to ask you about that here in a moment. But then, he gets through 6, and he hadn't given up a hit. This being Liam Doyle. And then you go to the bottom half of that inning, and they score all those runs, and that puts you in run rule territory. And you're like, oh crap! So not only do you have to get all your crap done, get ready to roll for the final out, you got to get that no hitter story ready to go. And then Dylan Lloyd comes on and slams the door in the 7th. Anyway, Liam Doyle, just phenomenal, man. This ain't St. Bonnie, okay? This is A&M, and you saw what A&M did the next day. For him to have that success, 8 strikeouts, 2 walks, he hit 2 guys, so 4 base runners. He was phenomenal. And then, of course, Lloyd there in the 7th was really good as well. Very rare do you ever, in fact, in Tennessee history, it's only happened in 1976 where there's been multiple no-hitters in a season. It's a pretty wild stat.
Yeah, it's pretty well stat. 2 in one season is kind of crazy. 1 in one season is crazy because nowadays with the BB core and all that, I mean, any ball could get through. And it does depend on the scoring a little bit within parks because some parks give it a hit, some parks give it an error. So there is a little leeway. But watching that game Friday, there really wasn't no question of what an error was or what a hit was. So that was good. It was good to also see Deloy not probably hear people talk about it because he's probably the guy that'd be like, oh, we got something going. All right. I'll try not to. But yeah, it was good. It was good to see those two just keep going at it and keep doing their thing, and obviously start the series off right. And V loves the first punch mentality, so you got to throw the first punch in the first round, and that's what they did.
You and I have talked about this before. I mean, the stuff is not the same. I get all that, but just in terms of usage and dependability and trust, if it doesn't scream Dylan Lloyd is this year's Kirby Connell before, listen to this stat. 3 games in the span of about 24 hours, right? I mean, you played Friday night, you got done, we'll call it 10 o'clock. By the time 2 games were done and over with on Saturday, it was about 10 o'clock. Lloyd pitched in all 3 games. That is Kirby Connell to a T. I mean, again, this is a guy that missed the first week and a half of the year, changed his body. He is that bridge. He is that guy that whatever they kind of need, he can fit any type of role. And again, I know you've been high on him for so long, but Lloyd's been fantastic. Gave up his first run of the year on Saturday, and it was a part of that, second game of the doubleheader where they hit 7 home runs. I mean, whatever, just chalk that out to whatever. But 1 run given up already this year.
Yeah. I mean, I've already said it. I mean, I was talking about this last year that he was going to be the new Kirby anyway, and I'm not surprised with what he's doing and the role that he's given to. Obviously, his body did change. He's not like a scrawny little freshman anymore. but he's already experienced. I mean, even as a freshman, he pitched in high leverage situations. So this guy is like a sophomore, but he's got a senior mindset. I mean, he's definitely experienced. He's not afraid of the moment. And I mean, Kirby better watch out. He might get Deloy might get his appearance record if he stays there all 4 years. Obviously, maybe a fifth. We don't want a fifth, but maybe all 4 years. He might catch his appearance record, although it's pretty tough. But also, Deloy reminds me of a Redmond as well. I mean, another lefty. I mean, I guess V just loves that one lefty that he can call on out of the pen. I mean, he's had it for ever since he's been there. He's always had one lefty that he depends on in the bullpen. When I say that, I mean Redmond and Kirby and now Deloy. So lefties, if you're out there and you throw about like 88, 90, just know that Tennessee will take you, and hopefully you get that bullpen role where you're called upon every day.
You'll like this. So I think John Wilkerson is doing something different in the booth this year. I think in SEC home series, I think he's trying to get a VFL with him every game. At least that's how it was this past weekend. But Redmond called game 1, which was obviously no hitter, run rule, and all that. I don't know if he couldn't find anybody for Saturday or whatever, but he called on Chad. Chad Zercher went in there, did the doubleheader. I mean, I told him he was fired. Like, I mean, how in the world can he show his face at the stadium anymore? What a radio debut there for Chad. I mean, just horrendous stuff.
Well, yeah, what a horrendous radio debut that was. But it's fun to see Red. V sent a little thing in our Bingo Squadron app with Kirby, Stamos, myself, and him of Redmond with the headphones on and the microphone interviewing him on the radio. So that was a little funny moment there. And I just received a text from him because I texted him about Ovechkin with the 895, which is absolutely insane. And I said, Ovechkin, a different animal. 895 is nuts. He just texted back about 15 minutes ago. That record breaker was so awesome too. I wish I was there, to be fair, because I mean, we chatted up about hockey all the time. You know, he likes UFC and stuff, so he likes the physical sports. So it's good to see. And obviously, with Redmond coming back and giving a call for a no hitter, that speaks Redmond Walsh. You know what I'm saying? A pitcher's night is going to happen when he's on the call. Unfortunately, Chad did not have the best of nights, but you know, he did leave on a high note. He's in the business world now, and obviously he's with his family more. So I'm happy for Chad and what he's doing. And Vol Nation, don't be mad at Chad Zercher for that. It was not his fault.
No, give him hell. I give you permission to give him hell. He deserves it. No, I'm just kidding. Love Chad. Let's go back to Liam. So again, we take this. I put this out later in the week. So this is early in the week. All right, we're gonna get updated information, at least from me on the board, or we'll ask Tony about it on Tuesday. But I wanted to ask, pitcher to not me, pitcher, but in the mindset of a pitcher, you had Liam Doyle that he had a blister. He had a blister pop up there in the 6th inning, and you could tell like between pitches, like he was fidgeting with it. He was looking at it. As soon as the game was over, he said, "Oh no chance I'm missing a start next week. Like I'll be out there." Da 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 da. You got to track that thing as the day goes on. But how disruptive is that, and what can you do to help minimize or make that go away as a pitcher?
It's tough, especially when you have something on your throwing hand and you need that sort of spot on your finger to feel the seam when you throw. Fortunately enough, I've never had a blister problem, but some pitchers do. Sometimes the seam just rubs, and obviously the more and more it rubs on your finger, it's gonna blister at some point. So it's just one of his pitches. It might be his 4 seam since he uses it a lot. Just the way that the seams come off the hand there, and it's just over time and reps on that finger, which makes a blister pop up. It's nothing serious, I would say. Like if you see a pitcher bleeding from their throwing hand on the mound, it's really nothing serious. And to be fair, it really doesn't hurt. It's just annoying because you're just like, why is that there? It's not normally there. It's really nothing to freak out over, and he won't miss a start. It's not going to be, detrimental to a start at all. But he'll be just fine, and obviously he'll roll right into next week and continue to what he's doing.
Let's go to Saturday. We already threw out the stat there. I mean, A&M just had a knack for the long ball, right? I mean, it was Tennessee had given up 17 home runs in 30 games entering Saturday, and then in 2 games, Tennessee gave up 11 home runs. Marcus Phillips had given up 2 home runs on the year in 35 innings and a third or whatever, and then in 4 2/3 he gave up, I think 3, maybe 4, whatever it was. Aggies just slug the baseball. As a staff, like, is it something universally that's gone wrong? Is it just one of those days? Because again, it wasn't just. I think Tennessee threw 10 pitchers amongst the doubleheader. 4 of them got out without allowing a home run. So 6 of the 10 allowed a home run. It's just one of those things that just weird. Like, that doesn't happen, and that doesn't happen in Tennessee, right?
The boombox that we play in, it's not. There's some fall games that you guys weren't there, and it was like closed to the public. But there were some fall games that, you have 5 home runs aside. So definitely can happen in that ballpark. And I'm not saying the ballpark's small, but it's universally known that, I've hit a fungo from home plate over to at least the second deck at the Porch. So, it's not that
You're
difficult.
a pitcher, so yeah.
It's not that difficult to hit a home run in Tennessee, especially if the wind's blowing from right and you hit it to left. It's just going to carry. That's all it's going to do. But it's just one of those days. It's not necessarily the pitch type that they threw. Maybe some of them were the pitch type, but not all of them. Some of them is just, the park, just plays that way. And, I don't want to be like, me, but the one outing I remember.
That's why I have you on the show, dude. Come on.
The one outing I actually do remember is before the 24 year. I gave up a 7 spot. I was facing like Burke, Semo, Billy, Dreiling. And they hit like 3 homers off me and like 4 doubles. So it definitely happens in that ballpark. And it should be no surprise that, long balls fly out of that ballpark. But I don't think it's detrimental. I think it's just one of those days where the ballpark was just a hitter's park that day. And sometimes even Lindsey Nelson can play as a pitcher's park. Very rarely. You just gotta understand what type of game's going on, because you hardly see any low scoring games at Lindsey Nelson unless it's like a midweek type deal, because of how anybody could leave the park at any time. So yeah, it was just one of those days. I wouldn't really look into it too much. Maybe if we were, at Texas A&M and we gave up 11 home runs, obviously that park's a lot bigger and you got to hit it. The wind's not necessarily blowing out as much. So then you definitely got to look at it from a staff as like, hey, what's going on? But, in Lindsey Nelson, it's hard to tell if it's the staff. I would have to give it like another week. Like if we have another weekend giving up 11 home runs, then it's like, okay, we would have to fix something.
Yeah, I want to chalk it up to more, that team's pretty dynamic throughout the lineup. Again, record was awful. I get it, but a lot of good dudes, really bad day. I just don't want to chalk it up to baseball, because I do think there's a little bit more to it. But at the end of the day, again, the staff had allowed 17 home runs in 30 games. Like, the staff was one of the best staffs in the country. Even after the horrific Saturday, your staff still has, a 3.10 ERA? Yeah, 3.10 ERA. I don't have it in front of me. That's got to be one of the best in the SEC. So, like, nothing's, it's not panic worthy here, but it was just kind of a bad day. Now, Zander, upperclassman, leader, one of the dudes on the staff, whatever, like, if you were in this locker room, if you were in the dugout right now, does anything need to be said? Like, do you need to have a rah-rah speech? What needs to happen for Tennessee to say, all right, let's just leave that there and let's go on. We got a huge series on the road in Oxford.
Really nothing. To be fair, just, hey, bad weekend, roll over, let's just go. It's not like our season's over. You're still in a good spot. You've won a lot of games to this point, but there's no rah-rah speech. It's not like a miracle speech that needs to be said. It's just, unfortunately, they played 2 games on their worst day of the year, and that's how the cookie crumbles sometimes. And Coons didn't have his best stuff. He started very well, but then it's just like, the experience in that lineup really took over there. And Marcus, a lot of the home runs were kind of solos. Like the 3 that he gave up, one of them was a 2-run, and 2 of them were solo. So Frank always says solos don't beat you unless they hit about 10 or 11. Then that's probably an issue. But overall, like, home runs are going to happen, especially with kids getting stronger, kids hitting the ball further, and obviously harder too with the aluminum bats. So, there's no speech that needs to be said. I think we just wash one bad day of baseball, and obviously they had an off day Sunday, and then they got back after it. I think they might be lifting right now, to be fair, at the field. So especially after yesterday, that weekend should be a wash. And I think we have a midweek coming up, don't we?
Yep.
Tomorrow? Okay, yeah. So let's get everything right in the midweek, and then focus our attention to Oxford.
Yeah, I meant to, when we were talking about the home runs and the distances and the ballpark and all that, like, I know what you were saying, but, like, again, the narrative is just, oh, tiny ballpark, whatever. Like, that always cracks me up because it's like, guys, like, stop being so lazy. The information's out there. They're like, Tennessee lists every home run the program's hit this year, the distance. Okay, you can go match that distance with any ballpark in the SEC. Like, okay, that's a home run. That's a home run. Let me tell you, the A&M home runs, I think Bargo earlier in the day hit a Lindsey Nelson special, but I think every one of A&M's home runs were gone. Like, they were just smashed. So it's like they were legit home runs. It was crazy win that day and everything, and the wind was swirling around. Dude, I don't know if you saw this on social media. I think it was in game 2. Andrew Fisher smacked one. Trackman had it 105 off the bat, projected to go 366. The wind in right field hammered it back down, and the dude just made, I don't know how he made the catch right there at the wall. He ran like all over the place. It was one of those type weather windy days. It was just kind of weird, man. Kind of weird.
The Lindsey Nelson special is hilarious. That's like, if people don't know the Lindsey Nelson special, it's a lefty that hits a backside homer that's on the the first level of the porch. I'm pretty sure you meant it like that, because it's normally not a home run that you see go out at all, unless the lefty really puts a charge into it. But a fly ball to left field that just tails and just lands in the first level of the porch. That's a Lindsey Nelson special. So hey, you guys can call it a Lindsey Nelson special for us if we hit a homer, or if the away team hits a homer. But sometimes the ballpark's good, but sometimes the ballpark's bad.
Tennessee on the road this weekend. I don't expect you to be an expert on who Ole Miss is nowadays, but I believe you were on the team in 22, or is it 20? No, it's 22. Y'all went down there. That was the year after they won the national championship. What's it like playing in Oxford? And I know there's not been a lot of wins there lately, but it's usually a pretty good environment, right?
Yeah, they were the number 1 team when we went down there. So that Friday night was very, very exciting. And
you knocked them off, then you knocked Vanderbilt off, then you knocked that's the year y'all beat
we swept Ole Miss when they were number 1, but we kind of put it to them a little bit. So it was like, Saturday, Sunday wasn't really packed out. But I think this weekend should be good. And obviously it comes back to that revenge again. I mean, Bianco still remembers, those 3 days in 22, whether you believe it or not, he does remember, and that'll be a point of emphasis in that Ole Miss locker room too. So I think you're kind of going to get a same type of vibe this weekend, especially like Texas A&M and now against Ole Miss. So prepare for a 3-round fight for sure, but obviously, like I say, you got to take care of the midweek first, because midweek wins get you into a regional for sure.
24-7, 8-4 in SEC play. Ole Miss ranked number 6 per D1 baseball, so it is going to be a battle, and I can't wait to see what happens. Zander, thanks as always, man. Great stuff. Good luck this week, and we'll have you back on the show here in the next week or two. Okay?
Sounds great. Love to be here.
Always enjoy catching up with former Tennessee pitcher, Tennessee legend, Zander Sechrist. Man, what he did last year, we'll never forget it, man. We will never forget it. What an effort from him, and how he was just instrumental in Tennessee winning a national championship. So always great stuff with him. He's, of course, pitching in the minor league system for the Minnesota Twins. So looking forward to seeing him progress and everything. But I appreciate catching up with him and him giving me his thoughts on the weekend series against A&M and and how to respond from a tough weekend at the Park. That's for sure. That was Zander Sechrist. Okay, let's see how Tennessee responds. Tennessee, number 5 in the country, at Ole Miss, number 6. Friday night, it is going to be a 7:30 p.m. first pitch time on the SEC Network Plus. Saturday is at 5 o'clock Eastern time on the SEC Network Plus. So for those of you going to the orange and white game like myself, we're going to have to be booking at home, right? I'll get that game thread started on Saturday. It might be about 4:59 though. And then on Sunday, 3 o'clock at Eastern time on the SEC Network, that will be televised. Looking forward to a really, really good weekend. Big thank you to listening to and watching us here on The Porch, presented by our friends, the great people, Tennessee fans, Spivey, King and Spivey, LLP. If you got a problem, let them find a solution for you. TN Trial Lawyers, free consultation by picking up the phone today and dialing 423-245-4185. That is 423-245-4185. Check them out online as well at SpiveyKingandSpiveyLLP.com. It is Tennessee at Ole Miss, and we'll have all the coverage for you right here at Volquest.com throughout the weekend.